Hi, everybody, and thanks for joining us for another episode of the Tea and Trails podcast. And thanks to Outdoor Active, Veloforte, Silver, Active Root, Centurion Running Store, Protein, Rebel, and SportShoes.com for supporting our community. For the price of a coffee, you can unlock some great perks that will help take the sting out of what can be an expensive sport. Last but not least, thanks to all our Patreons who dig deep every month and literally keep the lights hot and the mics on. Go over to Patreon and check out all the amazing deals. All aboard the Patreon train. We've got a bumper week of new members. I get a little email notification every time we have a new Patreon, so it's awesome to...
Oh, do you? As you're running.
Yeah. Yay! It's good. When I do my little Etsy store, when I sell something on there, I get a little ka-ching comes through on the app. It's brilliant. That is good.
Kids, we can have our tea tonight.
Yeah.
Chips are on me.
Takeaway night. Yeah, and also pop over to Summit Crazy if you would like some of our awesome Tea and Trails merch. I'm modeling the pumpkin hoodie, and I'll do a little turn. This is for YouTube. Oh, just in case you're not too sure.
Look.
Got the deets on the back too for when I'm mincing around Keswick at the weekend so everybody can see.
Oh my God. More on that later. Bryn did pull me up. Love it. He said, you two as green runners, what are you doing selling more merch? And I said, look, we're not giving it out. We're not making it. It's made to order. And if people want a hoodie, I've got one hoodie that I wear all the time. It's a Centurion one, and all the writing has gone off it. It's pretty threadbare. I'm about to pass it on to my oldest child. So it will be in the market soon for a new hoodie. We don't want you to buy it unless it's something that you will wear. Well, see, you will wear all the time, everywhere. Tesco run, school run, anyway. In fact, we definitely soon need to get some photos in of people in their hoodies. But as green runners, we'd also say we don't want you to buy it. And if you don't feel that you need it, you can just have a look at it and think, God, Gary's hot stuff.
But this is why I liked Summit Crazy, because if we were to manage our own merch, I'd have a spare room full of hundreds and hundreds of T-shirts that people may or may not buy. Summit Crazy people basically print to order. So as far as merch goes, I'm pretty happy. I understand Bryn's point, 100% understand that. But as far
it's
as
the
merch
best way
is
we could do it. Yeah, best way that we could do it. Episode 18, catch up with my Bezzy. We've been quiet this week, haven't we? Busy Bangkok, you've been away. Busy, you haven't been tapping at me from WhatsApp. Eddie. So you've been busy. So you've got lots of stories to tell, a few corkers from Tales from the Trails, and a really interesting, informative and thought-provoking chat with the wonderful Kim Cavill. Thank you very much, Silver, for supporting the podcast for this month of April. Head over to www.silversweden.uk and check them out. Gary, where have you been? You've been so quiet, which only means one thing. Two things. Mega miles and mega chocolate consumption. Which one was bigger? Well, yeah. Oh my God.
We'll hit all of those. I had a decent, I have to say, when I think it must be 3 weeks ago now, we had our little slump, but I seem to be on the up and up since then. I did the 4x8. We were humming and hawing if I was going to do it, and I didn't do it on the Tuesday. Neil, my running buddy, couldn't do Tuesday. I think he couldn't do Tuesday, but we could do Wednesday morning, so I rolled it forward, rolled it to Wednesday morning. 4x8 minutes. I think it was probably about 7.5 minutes, the length of our hill. And I'd say it was a B+ if I was to give it a grade.
I love a B+. I am so happy with a B+ because you can go up, you can go down. A worries me because I feel I've overachieved and I'm never going to reach that mark again. Why a B? Not fully, where was the sort of missing section?
I always feel like I wish I could do a little bit more. I suppose it wasn't the 10-minute hills.
Basically.
No, it's funny. I was leading for a change. Normally Neil drags me up these hills, but it was me that was leading this time round. But yeah, the hill wasn't the full 8 minutes, which I hoped it would be. And I always just I wish I could do a little bit more. But good. I'll take a B+ all of the time. I used we talked about the previous week, the Active Root, the chews, the fiery chews. They were my sports nutrition of choice, and that was really good. And then on the Thursday, I did a big mistake, did a Wednesday and then a Thursday.
I could not do a session after I did the next day after I've done hills. My butt cheeks, my whole back posterior chain is always
Well, this is why maybe mine was a
Ruined.
B plus, because I don't really, my little central governor system always takes over, saves Gary from the butt cheek. But it was the big session, the 10 minutes at threshold pace, then 5 times a K at threshold pace, and then finishing off with 10 minutes at threshold pace too. But I just did the Metro Centre. Do you know the Metro Centre? It's a big shopping centre in the northeast.
Of course I know Metro Centre.
Well, I had a massive day walking around there and filled my belly full of katsu curry from your sushi, and then tried to do this session. So I'd have to give that a C plus. I just felt rough from start to finish. I wasn't really hitting the paces that I'd like to. And my mindset was I don't think I'm even going to do this as a session. I'll go for a run with it with my mates, but they'll do what they do and I'll just jog around. But I thought, no, I'll do the first 10 minutes. And I kind of hung on, and I did the 5 times a K, and I did 10 minutes. So I did the session. It was in zone 4, but it felt dreadful. I did not enjoy it.
Will you ever eat a katsu curry again? Not for a long time. When you do that,
I'd smash one. I'd smash one now. Someone put one in front of me.
I did that the other day, and I was only running easy. I came back from skiing, and then I had to do my run straight away. So I stopped at the boulangerie and bought a quiche and a muffin. Why, you may ask, would you buy a quiche and a muffin? Because that was all that was left at 12:30.
Dessert and main course, huh?
Yeah, so I kind of felt like that's okay. That's 2 courses. Smash that down, and then literally went straight for the run, and then just felt the whole run. I was like, yeah. The muffin. Oh, it just feels so horrible.
I thought I'd be okay. It must have been an hour and a half, 2 hours, but it wasn't going anywhere. But yeah, I did it again, C plus. So I'll take that. 2 heavy sessions. I went to the gym again, and we've got new machines in the gym, which is quite exciting. A bit intimidating first, because how do I use these new machines? They were a lot different to the old ones. But what they have got, which I really enjoyed, was the calf raise machine. But then you can unpin it so you independently can lift. You're not having to do, say, a single leg calf raise.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But I still missed my core. I did the 2 heavy sessions down the gym, and I didn't find the time to do my core session. Yeah, I just can't seem to get on top of that. Maybe that's a mini goal for this week coming up. Big Bob Graham round recce with Adam and a big bunch of us, actually. Leg 1 and most of leg 2. I got called out a few times on Strava that we missed off Fairfield. We didn't do Fairfield. Everybody.
Your mates are on it. You put that on, and within a few minutes, it was like, so you missed that bit. Why'd you miss that bit? Oh, Gary missed that bit. Like, okay. Just a bit of kudos. That's all we're looking for on Strava.
Yeah. I think everybody. Or there was a few people who were definitely at the front of the group, and we were like, you guys go ahead. If you want to do Fairfield, we'll see you down at Dunmill Raise. But no, they were quite happy to miss off Fairfield too. We were off, it must have been 8 hours. We'd done it, enough is enough. And it was super hot. Wow. I don't know what it was like where you are, but Saturday in the UK, started off in the car park. I had my Varga bucket cap ready to go, but it was like -2. So I left it behind. And by about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I was absolutely cooked. My skin's calmed down a bit, but yeah, I was proper beetroot on Saturday when I came home. Not a good
look with that hoodie.
No, not good sun admin. I was a bit disappointed with myself, but I did do, which was good. I mentioned I was going to do all the nutrition, so I loaded up. I was drinking Active Root all day. I had the Vela-Forte chews, I had the Active Root chews and the Protein Rebel gels, and yeah, no stomach.
You must have been on a sugar, absolute sugar high, Gary.
I don't know what it is when you're out on running. Sugar just doesn't, you just soak it up immediately. If I eat that, when I get to my Easter egg abuse on Sunday, I felt absolutely rotten after that. But yeah, on Saturday I could consume it.
Well, that's because you're using it. That's because your insulin you're using your insulin rather than just lying on the sofa getting Lisa to pour chocolate eggs into your mouth.
Oh, well, I told them I only want a few bits of chocolate because I'm such a glutton and got no off switch. And I'm not going to complain because I'm looking at a pretty tidy stash of chocolate in my sports nutrition cupboard. But yeah, I got way too much, and I just can't stop myself. But what was good actually on Saturday, go back to the running, Carol Morgan, she was out doing a Steve Parr round, which is basically like a Bob Graham on steroids, 188 kilometers and 12,000 meters of elevation gain. So that's a big day out. And she did it in 37 hours and 11 minutes. And we saw Kim Collison. Oh my goodness, I'm forgetting the name of the other guy in the car park at Threlkeld. So we wondered what was going on. And he said like Carl Morgan's doing a Steve Parr round, and she caught us up and passed us, I think, as we were going up to Helvellyn.
Did she recognise you?
We said hello. No, I don't think she recognised me. That happened later on in the day. Got a nice little...
Oh, hello. Come on then.
But yeah, I think she has now, I could be wrong, so apologise for this, Carol, if I get it that wrong, but I think she has got the FKT for the ladies on the steep part around. So yeah, that was awesome. And right at the end of the run, we're going up Seat Sandal, which is quite a small hill as far as hills are concerned or mountains are concerned.
But after 8 hours, it felt like...
Yeah, it did feel like bloody Everest. But this little kid, young kid, he must have been 12-year-old, just ran up it. We were all like blown out of our backsides, and he just ran up it, touched the top, looked at his watch, turned around and went back down again. He had an Ambleside AC t-shirt on. So yeah, if anybody from Ambleside AC...
Who sent their kid up? Who was like, you get up there now, you're driving me crazy.
I bet he saw us. I bet he saw all us trail runners with our hydration vests on and everything. And he's like, right, I'm going to get these. Like, yeah, but massive kudos. If anyone's listening from Ambleside AC, whoever that guy was, give him a pat on the back. And yeah, I was in booths in Keswick, and a couple of listeners came up and said, am I Gary from the podcast, and can they have a selfie in booths? So yeah, we've got a very classy
what is
bunch
booths?
of listeners.
I thought it was some sort of like Photoshop.
I don't know. It's a posh supermarket in Booths. Very nice.
What were you doing in there? Just looking in there for a friend?
The bus dropped us off there, and I was just so desperate for water, because we banked on getting water from Dunmill Race, but it was bush-bone dry. So not only sunburnt and dehydrated.
Oh, and stinky. And those people were like, oh, we've asked him for a photo and we've got close. He's a bit weird and it's smelly.
But I had my Tea and Trails tech tee on, so I was easy to spot.
God, I'm so sorry, people. Oh my God.
But I love meeting our listeners. You know, we do this. We chat with each other just down these
That's
cameras.
enough for me, Gary. I don't need any more. You are just love it. You're just looking.
I do enjoy. Yeah, no, I got the t-shirt. I do enjoy bumping into our listeners. It's a real treat. So yeah, lovely to see you. Mileage wise for the week, 87 miles, just over 20 hours of exercise, and 17,000 feet of elevation. I think it's pretty good. Two
Get a job, Gary. Get a job. For goodness sake.
But yeah, then Sunday, I had a whole Galaxy Easter egg, and that is pretty full on. That is. And then I think I had a bag of M&Ms too.
Where in the day did you eat this Easter egg?
We sat and watched a film on Amazon Prime, so we sat down as a family. And
you just ate it. You just ate the whole thing.
I just couldn't stop. I literally just couldn't stop myself. It'd been 40 days, obviously, since I'd had sugar other than running. I felt really, really grotty. So I'm trying now to go back on to Lent, how I was doing it, because I felt pretty good on that. But yeah, good week. I feel nourished.
Yeah, I bet you do. I bet you do feel very nourished, Doctor. Do you know how much chocolate I ate?
Come on then, yeah.
Nothing. I don't know.
No,
it just doesn't do it for me. I just don't really like chocolate. Yeah, just not sweet. I'm not a sweet. I've not got that sweet tooth. So Bryn doesn't even give me any chocolate anymore because it's just.
But would you substitute? Would you have?
He did. He went down because the French do lovely like chocolate gifts. So he bought me one, and like halfway through the day, he sort of threw it at me and went, "That's for you. I know you won't eat it, so I'll eat it." I was like, "Oh." Like occasionally I'll have a cup of tea and a little bit of chocolate, but I can just have a square. That's plenty. I couldn't eat more than that. I could never eat a whole egg. I would actually it would probably kill me, that sugar.
Didn't that's a boy and a girl thing, because Lisa would just have a little chunk, cup of tea, she's satisfied. But me,
you're just never satisfied generally in life, really. I think it's a personality thing.
I'm very demanding. Yeah. Then, what have you been up to?
Oh, my week is so boring. I didn't meet any listeners. I didn't get a lovely long run up Lake District. It's so dull compared to yours. But I did it all, Gary. I did it all. Ticked off another week. Hills. I've done my hills, I think. I haven't done my hills because the kids are on holiday. So, I dread. It gives me anxiety when the kids are on holiday and I have to not do my training when I normally do it, and it all has to change, because the way that I can manage my really busy life, as all parents know, is like you have your slots and you do it then. but I can't do it in my normal slots because the kids are at home and we've got to juggle. So I have a different time. Oh my gosh. So then I have to be creative, or I have to be like you said, like you have got to go out. I hate running at like 3:00 in the afternoon, and that might be my slot. That key, whatever I've eaten for lunch is not, I'm a morning person. I don't mind the evening, morning or evening, but if it's like middle of the hour, I hate it. So this week is going to be a bit of a tricky one. So I haven't done my hills yet today. Might do them. I'm going to have to do them on the treadmill. It's going to be a lot of treadmill running.
I think when you do that workout in the middle, your whole day seems to focus on it. It's not morning, It's not the evening. You can't relax.
And then you've got to do more stuff afterwards, because at least if you train in the evening, you can have a shower, get in your jammies. You don't have to go out again. Whereas if it's like 3:00, I've still got to do parenting for quite a few hours.
Got to take the dog out.
Then you've got to don't. That is just another thing in the mix. Anyway, did my treadmill session. So things to report. Yeah, did my treadmill session. So when this is an evening one, and I'd had quite a week of quite a lot of solo parenting. I'd done every bedtime. And when you've got 3 kids, it's a lot. Bedtime, I mean, it's relatively easy now. The kids are older, because it just involves a lot of shouting. And I've told you 14 times to do that. Then I go upstairs and there's nothing has happened, but there's been so much noise and shouting and banging around. I'm like, but you're not even, what have you done? What have you been doing? Anyway, so I said, right, I'm going to go on the treadmill. You do bedtime, Bryn. I'm going to do what a treat. I'm going to shut the door. My treadmill faces the wall. So I was going back to those 6x3 minutes at a faster pace. I did a half an hour progressive warm-up because I was so nervous about my butt cheeks and hamstrings running faster. So I was about on the second or third one, in deep on those 3 minutes. The football, there's a little window by the treadmill looking out in the garden. The football almost smashed the window, causing me to go absolutely flying backwards on the treadmill. It gave me such a... The window was slightly open, and I shouted a very rude word very loudly. It just came out.
English or French?
English. French doesn't come that naturally to me. Really loud. And I was, rude. Anyway, and I sort of jumped on the side and, oh my God, that's ruined that rep, and looked out, gave him my window, and it was Bryn with the kids playing football. I was like, you're meant to be doing bedtime. Jump back on. I think I still had about 2 minutes of this rep. Said kid who'd kicked the ball then suddenly appeared next to me, and I can't say anything because I'm just right in the corner against the wall, and for the second time within about 40 seconds made my heart rate, which was already at near max, absolutely jump, shouted at him again.
Oh my goodness.
God, the stuff coming out my mouth, what was going on? His poor face. He then got really upset, went and slammed the door.
Was he coming in to apologize, and then you shout?
And I'd gone, you, and then he got so angry, and then he'd gone and slammed the door, and then I got the rage and went out and going, I just wanted to do my treadmill session, all of you, and the whole family standing there staring like little bunnies going, oh, she is mad, me is mad. And Bryn like going, okay, let's go kids, let's go bedtime. Oh, that felt really bad. Went back on, finished my session, came out, and Bryn, like they did it. You right, dear? You right? You're right there. Very quiet upstairs. Went upstairs. We all made peace. I felt bad parenting, but also you get that when you're like, I just wanted an hour without that. And so I went and explained. I was like, when mummy's running really fast on the treadmill, if someone appears next to her, she could very easily go off the back of it. Mum scares easy. Do not suddenly appear. Anyway, learned lesson. Then Bryn said, I'm going to buy you a little mirror so that you can see if someone is coming. I was like, good. That's good military planning, but it's good. Sesh managed to hold that faster pace for 6. Got to do 8. I can trust it, Eddie. You're going to be able to do it. It will be fine. Sweat. I had to take a lot of electrolyte after that. Then it was fine. I did a long solo run. It was about 18 miles. Just over 1,000 meters of climbing. And I kept my heart rate in that zone of 2, not like really super lovely long Bob Graham round with friends, a little bit harder than that. Oh, it felt hard. 3 hours. I was like, How am I going to do that for 100 miles? Oh, my life.
I don't even think about those things, because if I do pond run it too often, it really freaks me out. Like, how am I going to do this?
How am I going to do that? So the last like couple of miles, and when I stopped, my legs were so sore. One thing I've really noticed since the spine, bear with me, listeners, please tell me if you feel this too. Since the spine, every time I exercise, my legs, my body is really sore. Like yesterday, I did a really easy 90-minute run. And for the rest of the day, I was so stiff and sore. Maybe it is just my age. I should just give up. I was like, Bryn, should I just give up? Anyway, did some yoga. But I'm back on the yoga train. I came off the yoga train after I'd finished my 30 days. And I was just doing a little bit every sort of other day, but I've gone back on it now because it feels good to do it every day. But I need to like you said, Gary, unless we have these strict rules, it doesn't happen. So I've restarted another 30-day program, and I'm going to do that, even though the one that I see today is 56 minutes. I'm like, God, when am I going to fit that in? I've got to finish the final episode of The Night Agent as well. Maybe I need to do it at the same time.
Yeah, what is this actually? Is this Tom Hiddleston, is it?
Oh no, it's American. I don't know who it is. No, I don't. I know that's the Night Manager.
Night Manager.
Night Agent. It's on Netflix. I've had quite a few people. I had quite a few women email or message me with the horror emoji, because it's not super scary, but there's bits in woods. There's bits that are like not very nice. But it's good if you want a good, not a family program. No. But it's a good one for late night Netflix. So anyway, boring. Another week. It's boring. This training is a bit dull, to be honest.
And is this yoga a repetition of what you did previously? Or
no, it's different, Gary. Going different. Same lady, same Adrienne. Yeah. Oh, I'll tell you a funny story about Adrian, and then we'll actually move on to the proper podcast. So Bryn has now started. He's in his second week of top training for our race together in September, and part of his program, which his coach is writing him, is 2 yoga sessions a week. I wouldn't make him do it every day, because otherwise he'll take my yoga slot and I need him to cook dinner. So I rang him when I was on my way back from my trail run with my mates on Friday, and he was like, he's slightly out of breath. He's like, I'm on the phone to Adrian, and one of the kids' ski coaches is called Adrian, and he was skiing at the time, and I was like, oh my God, what's happened? Thinking, oh my God, he's like, we've had a terrible crash. And he's like, no, Adrian, the yoga teacher. I was like, oh my God, how times have changed. Came in, he's doing yoga in his pants. So I was like, woo. Anyway, we move forward another week. I'm feeling fit. I'm feeling good. I'm getting fitter it's just dull. Let's just face it. Training, and especially as we got still snow on the higher trails. So our routes are a bit repetitive here at the moment. It's a bit, that's what training is, isn't it? It's just the same. It's just repeating the same thing.
The nuts and bolts of it are repetitive, but I'm lucky with these little weekend trips to the lakes.
I saw so many people with lovely bank holiday weekends, and we don't really get bank holiday. The kids just can't, they were still at school on the Friday, and then Easter weekend is just the same old. I think I just need a change, Gary. I need a change of scenery and a little refresh, which is coming in a few weeks. So just hold on, Eddie. Just tick off the sessions.
That's good. That sounds like a B week you've had there, Eddie.
A B? What else? I give myself an A+ always. I back myself.
I'll take a B.
Yeah, I take a solid B. There's lots of solid Bs coming in at the moment.
No brew with the coaches again this week, but we are recording.
Yeah, it's going to be a revolt, Gary, soon. But you've just heard how well I handle parenting and doing sessions. So that's like my little coaching tip of the week. Just really get the rage and then feel so guilty for 3 or 4 hours afterwards. Try that one. See how that one works out for all of you.
But if you've got any questions for our coaches and Dr. Rebecca Cam, don't forget Rebecca's joining us now as one of our coaches. Email in to hello@teaandtrails.com.
Yep, we're recording. We've got a big record next week. So if you've got any questions, pop them over. We'll do our best. If we can't, you might have to. Patience is a virtue as well, because we can only use these people's time so much, so we can only record a few questions at a time, but they will all get answered eventually. You might just have to wait. It'll be worth
new
the
microphones
wait.
too, haven't we? So audio should be
Slick as anything. Fingers crossed, Gary. Oh, a treat for the ears today as we talk to one half of two of my favourite people in the world. Kim Cavill is well known in the ultra running world. We saw that when we popped over Facebook. Lots of big fans. She's completed some of the hardest ultras UK and Europe has to offer. She now runs a coaching business with her husband, Jayson, and is passionate about a holistic approach to both training and life, how you combine the two. So we just bombasted her with heaps of questions about Gary's butt and all things strength conditioning and yoga. Enjoy our chat with Kim.
Oh, where are you? What's the view from your window, and have you been for a run today?
I'm in Moulton in North Yorkshire, which is sort of between Scarborough and York. It's a little market town. It's actually the food capital of Yorkshire, apparently. Yeah.
Gary's listening now.
I'm in.
Fantastic ice cream and macaroons, etc. Out of my window, I've got a nice big tree in the corner. I've got Jason's soundproofing across the bottom of the window, so I can only just see the sort of high view. And I've got some nice blue sky, but I've got some people's houses as well. We're sort of surrounded by houses. I've been for a run today. I went for a hill session that was more of a slope session because we don't really have hills in runnable distance, which was good.
What did the slope session involve?
It's a slope, a very gradual hill, and it's off road. And I did 4 by 30 seconds, 4 by 60 seconds, and 4 by 30 seconds.
Nice.
So I'm winding down a little bit for London next week.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it. But I did a hard hill session last week that I think was a step too far for where I am currently. So I thought I'll do slope today.
Okay, I like that. I like the difference between the hill and the slope.
Yeah.
I like that idea. I might change my hill session later to more of a slope session.
Do you have
I like the sound of a slope session.
I know the slope would be hard to find, wouldn't it? Because I ran up outside our house today and I was just doing like a little half an hour shakeout, and it's already like you turn left and it's 10%. It's just like, can I just please, can you flatten this for me? I might get the pista to come along and just bulldoze a little bit of flat path. So you're doing London Marathon. Is that how you're feeling? I mean, this is very different to your normal. Well, you've been on a bit of a marathon trail, haven't you? Have you been following like a sort of marathon training plan as such? Because I was thinking I haven't seen any beastly, horrible, long concrete road runs. No.
Well, I didn't want to train for it. I got my good for age at Chester in October, which was awful. And I trained semi-hard for that. It wasn't.
Oh, yes, of course, because we did one of your sessions, didn't we? When you came and stayed. Yeah, we did.
Yeah. I was just like talking at you because I wanted to ignore the pain. So I got the good for age, and then I just thought, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to do a road marathon that I have to train really hard for, that I'm going to try and get a time for, that I'll probably be disappointed with, because London's not a great fast course, is it?
Oh yeah, I like London. Yeah,
but Gary, if people don't run faster, they can say it's not a fast course. Okay. So we can go, oh yeah, no, you got to go to some of those big American ones to get really smoking fast.
But I just thought I'm not going to be, unless I was to get like 3:15 or something.
You weren't going to be happy.
So I'm going to put a silly costume on and run for charity on a jog round, hopefully enjoy it, and then never do one again, probably.
Is it a rhino costume?
No, it's a very benign costume. It's just my friend's little girl made me a big heart out of cardboard with a little face on it that I'm going to put on my back. So I'm going to have like a heart sandwich board and general heart headband and stuff, because I'm raising money for my friend's little girl's got cardiomyopathy, this heart condition. So I'm raising money for that charity and for Great Ormond Street. So the only heart costumes that I could find online were like slutty Queen of Hearts.
Didn't fancy that? Oh.
Didn't feel appropriate really for children.
No,
much more sensible answer. Yes. Oh, well, best of luck. Best of luck with that, and all good cause. And I'm sure people could spare a few pounds, we'll put the link to your.
We'll pop the link in the show notes. Yeah.
Thank you. That would be really nice.
And you've got a good for age start. If you're not going for a time, the good for age start might be quite demoralising, because you're going to have people just sailing past you.
I don't know how it works. I've requested to be put in a further back one. Do they do that? Is that allowed?
Oh, well, when I tried that once and they wouldn't let me. But I just tried it on the day I hadn't requested beforehand. I was carrying a bad back, so I just thought there's no point in me being there because it was going to be demoralizing. But yeah, I had to go on the good for each start.
Okay.
And I just waited at the back, and then whenever the next wave of runners caught me up, I joined in with those guys. But unless they giving you the thumbs up, I think you have to go into the good for age pen, unless it's changed.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm not going to get carried away. I'm quite good at just taking my time and being.
She's a woman, Gary. She's not a white middle-aged man. She'll be fine, just jogging along, being happy.
I love it. You're in there. You've got your own tent. Well, not your own tent, your own personal tent, but you've got a tent just in case the weather's not that nice. Plenty of loos. The baggage truck is there, unless it's all changed since COVID. I'm not too sure exactly now, but oh my goodness me, it's a much nicer experience in the good for age pen. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it sounds like an experience. Like you said, I don't want it to be anything other than that, really. So yeah.
Well, best of luck with that. Should we get back on track?
Yeah.
You don't need any introduction as a runner, but our listeners might not know about your journey or pathway into coaching. Could you? Yeah, I'd love to know a bit more about that. Yeah, if you could share some more about that, that would be great.
Well, Jayson, my husband, is also a runner and a coach, and we coach people under the umbrella of Cavill Coaching. So he started the coaching business probably back in 2015, I think 2016. He left his he left his job. Was much braver than me. He was getting so busy with people that it was like, do you want to try taking some people on? So I took a few people on while I was still working. I was teaching 4 days a week. So I took about 10 people on, I think. So yeah, I left my teaching job in 2016, jumped to another job, and I was doing the same thing. I was like juggling part-time work and coaching. And then we were going to France in the summer, and I was just like, I'm miserable in my job. I wish I could leave and just coach full time. And he was like, why don't when we go to France, quit your job, come to France. We'll stay for like over a month, and we'll just build it up from there. It'll work out. I was like, oh, and I did it. And while we were in France, all we basically did was just put some stuff out on Facebook. And while we were there, that 5 weeks, I just filled up.
Oh my goodness, brilliant.
And it's been that way ever since, touch wood. We've been, just nicely ticking over with people, sort of people coming and going, but always having enough people to coach. So we've both been able to do it now full time for the last 5 years, I think, at least. So yeah, we coach online, remotely. I took the opportunity as well because we do coach full time, but it also gives you a bit of flexibility to learn other things. So I was always really interested in strength work. So I just thought I'd do my PT training. So I took my level 3 personal training course and then started applying that to the coaching as well. And then just before COVID or just over COVID, I can't remember, I decided that I would train to be a yoga teacher as well. More for like personal development, really. I didn't think I would teach that often. So yeah, I took an online yoga teacher training course. I would have loved to have gone to India for a month and done that immersive thing, but I couldn't at the time. And yeah, so I apply that a little bit as well. So I've always been someone that enjoys strength work and yoga. And I've always kind of put it in my training plans for people a little bit and tried to incorporate that. But having those qualifications means I can do it with a bit more confidence now. And I know what I'm doing.
I love it. Anyone who takes the leap to go self-employed, I've done it myself, Eddie, self-employed. It is super scary, but it's lovely to hear that it's working out. We'll talk a bit more about yoga, I suppose, later on, but I'm quite interested in the strength side of things. Now, my approach, I really started thinking about strength as a runner, basically as injury rehab. And I think a lot of people, that might be their pathway into a program too. But yeah, assuming the athlete is fit, why should we do strength and conditioning?
We do. A lot of people get into strength work from being injured or something, don't we? And I did that as well. Into more focused strength work as well. I had IT band issues when I started running. Finally went to a physio after like 2 years of just bumbling my way through and just getting re-injured and discovered these things called clamshells and reverse lunges. And I was oh, this is cool. I'm going to do this every day. And then, it worked. And so you get more into a focused structure then. But I think the more I've learned and the more I've seen people progress, it's really important that we kind of look at strength training through a lens of your life rather than just running. If you think, there's all sorts of statistics and stuff about how we lose strength as we age, and that then sort of carries over into your health implications for later on in life, even morbidity implications. You know, that you've got if you fall and break a hip when you're 60, you've got a massively high risk of dying within 5 years, which is terrifying. Like, if you can prevent that from happening as much as you can by building in strength work, not just running all the time, that's a no-brainer to me. It's not just about making you running better, it's about making you a healthier person. So that's what I try and instill in people, is it's not just about how can this help me run, it's how can this keep me healthy in general as well.
Because if it's just about running as well, it's boring, because we just want to run as runners, don't we? But if we try and think about the whole picture of life generally being more resilient, the other week my littlest had a nasty ski accident, and I was able to pick her up and ski down a piece carrying her, and then carry all the skis and the poles and injured child off down the mountain. And I was just like, I'm so grateful for having this strong body that I can do this. And it's all down to years and years of strength work as well. And also all looking as well. None of us want to be that old person hobbling around. And as we're living longer and longer, we can sort of see you can see the differences in the people that have been active all their, I mean, our knees might go, so it's going to be the limiter. We're going to be old and creaky. We'll have really good upper body strength. But I like that idea of like, picturing it as your long-term health, not just for the running, because as runners, all we want to do is run, isn't it?
I was going to say, I see it with the older people in our club, mostly the men that have been running for 40 years, and that's all they've ever done is just run. They haven't done anything else. They'll start to get you start with like creaky joints and stuff, don't you? And then you start with your running form goes a little bit, you're a bit hobbly and you're walking a little bit funny. Some of them are so stiff and immobile and just, cardiovascularly, I'm sure they're super healthy, but like I've heard you two talk about rolling out of bed in the morning and kind of like uncurling yourselves and everything just that's not normal. Well, it's probably normal. Is it not? It's probably normal, but it's not healthy, is it? So like, yeah, if you can get to a point where you're more, not just strength either as well, more mobile and more resilient.
So are you not stiff in the morning at talking?
No.
Oh, goodness me.
I mean, not a lot of it's not just to do with, there's lots of different facets to strength as well. So it's your genes have a lot to do with it. Your anatomy has a lot to do with it. How you've moved your whole life. So I wasn't active as a child. So I've got like learned behaviors and learned ways of moving that aren't particularly healthy. I've got, the 10 to 2 feet, knocky knees. So when I run, my right foot flicks out like crazy. And these are reasons why I've had these repetitive injuries in the past. But working on strength for a lot of years now has helped me. I still run like that. But I've not been injured, not repetitive injured for absolutely ages. And I've done some stupid stuff the last few years. So it goes to show. Do
you ever see, both of you actually, your coaching demographic? Is there a pattern of, say, maybe athletes that you have to encourage to do strength and conditioning? Is it that older man like myself who maybe has never done it? Or is it just across the board?
Yeah, that's usually the way, and it is across the board. I think there's a mental block with a lot of people. It's high mileage people, I think, are the hardest to get into the habit because they don't want to sacrifice any of their running time. And until you start to see benefits yourself, you're not going to do that. It's hard to get into that loop, and you're not going to necessarily get faster or anything like that. You're not going to see like really tangible benefits to your running until you're further down the line. But you're going to, things that people say to me they find is that they recover faster after long races or hard races, and it's a feeling of strength as well. I mean, I'm thinking of one woman in particular now who super high mileage, she's been running all her life, very fast runner, really accomplished runner. She's just into her 50s.
Thinking of me?
She's just into her 50s. So
it's not me. 20 years too old. 20 years.
I was coaching her for a couple of years and she went off and then she came back again. It took me quite a while to convince her that strength training was going to be beneficial to her as a woman that was getting older, moving more into ultras as well. And she's absolutely obsessed with it now. I can't stop her now. Like, I'm like, no, do this easier session today. And she's like, but I need to do the hard session. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that too. It's that when people, I prescribe strength and conditioning to 99.9% of people. If you're in a, I've had a few people that are in heavy laboring jobs, which is when you sort of have to be a bit clever with your strength and conditioning, because I had a dry stone waller for quite a long time. That was a lot. He was doing a lot of physical labor. I wasn't then going to make him go to the gym. So then we look at the program a little bit differently. But often I find then people get like, you haven't put any, there's no strength and conditioning in this week. Oh my goodness. You know, they get like, they like ticking off those sessions. Nobody's ever come back to me and said, I didn't feel the benefits. That was, you know, everybody gone. I felt it going up the hill. I felt stronger. Just an awareness as well. I think people think that it's going to be, it needs to involve a big muscular change in their bodies. But often it's just the way our body works, and an awareness of perhaps imbalances, balances, strength, weaknesses, just how to hold yourself. And I've noticed this when we talk about yoga in a bit, is like just the ability to, when you get stressed or things become too much, to just pull your scapulars back or drop your shoulders or engage the glutes. And sometimes looking at strength and conditioning like that as well might be a motivator towards people, that it doesn't have to be about like the biggest bicep curls, but it can be more about like, okay, how can I hear this talk of pelvic floor and core and stuff. And it can be, just be about like how to actually use that and turn that on and come to it. Marathons as well, but in ultras as well, where there's only so much running that you can do, looking at the other things, the other facets that you can add to that. And strength and conditioning can often be quite a mental thing as well, realizing that the strength that you have within you and learning about your body can then become like a real mental strength as well. When things get tough, you go back to like just the basics of form, the basics of movement, the basics of breath. So hard sell. We'll do a hard sell, won't we, Kim?
It's very empowering.
That was the word. That will ignore that jingle jangle that I was talking about.
I find on a day in day out base though, I'll maybe find the opposite. Like somebody asked me on Saturday, am I feeling the benefits? I'm like, well, maybe hopefully on race day when I'm tapered. But after I did a load of deadlifting on Friday, then I was trying to climb a mountain on a Saturday. No, well,
that was a silly thing to do, wasn't it? I mean,
well, we'll probably talk about this, just when you can actually physically fit in all this strength and conditioning around the running. But yeah, at that moment in time, no, I didn't feel the benefit. But maybe if I've got a 3-week taper under my belt, maybe I will. I love how the fact it's made me hyper aware of imbalances in my body, just doing say hamstring curls or single leg calf raises or anything like that. I just physically I didn't appreciate that until I got in the gym and tried to do single leg stuff. We talked earlier about just general lifestyle and benefits as you go into older life. But as a runner, are there some anomalies out there, just lucky buggers who don't need to do it? They're strong enough, for what they're asking the body to do.
I think everyone needs to do some form of strength work and or mobility work. I think everyone should be doing mobility work, but definitely. Like if you're a dry stone waller, you probably just need to work on mobility and little like physio style exercises. So when I say mobility, it's not building up muscle strength, it's working on your range of movement. So you had a runner the other week, didn't you? Someone said that they were quaddy. They weren't using the glute.
Big time, big fan of the podcast.
And so this is a common one, isn't it? When people don't use their glutes or don't feel their glutes firing or whatever, usually that's not because they don't have strong glutes, it's because they don't have the range of motion to like feel that happening or to be able to use them. So if your hips are really stiff, if you're a sitter, if you sit at a desk all the time and then you go for a run, 85-90% of your time is spent in that kind of seated position, and then you're asking your body to go and do something completely the opposite, your glutes aren't going to work very well because they've just been stretched all day and you've crunched your hips up all day. It's not just about muscles, it's about ligaments, tendons, joints especially. Yes, in answer to your question, everyone needs to do something. I think most people these days do need strength work. There are very few people that are doing those manual jobs that are running as well. We talked about this a little bit earlier. If you're doing a lot of running on trails, up and down hills, maybe you don't need to do the leg stuff. A lot of the things that you see on YouTube or Insta or whatever, where they're saying this is strength work for runners, a lot of it focuses on legs and glutes. And that's not taking into account all the other stuff that's going on, and the fact that you're probably strong enough in your legs already. You don't necessarily need to just do squats, deadlifts, glute bridges. You need to look at everything. So some of the things that I like to include for people, I love an upper body pull. So whether it's a pull up, whether it's a row, you're working your posterior chain, but the top half. So if you're a manual labourer, again, you probably don't need to do this as much if you're lifting and carrying things.
Well, you've got toddlers, small children.
Yeah. You're probably looking at some. And again, we can look at how yoga and
a lie down.
Have a lie down in a stretch. But you want to be working, if you're doing the same sort of move, if you're lifting things and putting them in the same place, if you're doing the same movements all the time, you need to be looking at how to use the opposite muscles. So stretching your back out, working your back a little bit more, but not doing it with any great weight.
I really like doing stuff opposite to what the running is.
Yeah.
So different, moving in different planes. I just love a good stretch.
Yeah, a dead
how often, we just really stretch out. Quite often do quite a lot of body weight, like walkouts and stretching and moving from side to even just move. I'm doing it now. Oh, my sound will have gone all that. But just moving side to side, that mobility. Oh, and then that loosens up the hips as well. So
and it's
really
intuitive, isn't it? Your body knows that's what it wants because it feels good when you do it. So you've got to sort of listen to what your body's telling you. When you get out of bed or when you get up from your chair, you want to stretch your arms up in the air and you want to stretch your chest and stretch back, don't you? So it's taking that to the next step, isn't it? And using a band, doing some reps with a band. Or one of my favourite things to do is a dead hang. So if you've got a pull-up bar or some kind of door frame, just hanging off that, just pulls your body down. It sort of decompresses your spine. When I first started doing it, I was so sticky in my ribs and so tight, it felt hard to breathe doing that. So that told me, you need to concentrate on your breathing more and you need to do this more often to pull yourself out. But it doesn't always have to be big, heavy lifting. It is important to heavy lift if you're not someone that has a manual job that heavy lifts a lot. But there's ways and means to do it. And like you said, Gary, it's tricky as a runner to kind of work out that balance sometimes. And it is very individual. I know it's a cop-out to say it, but it's something you kind of have to explore yourself. And that's what I think strength and mobility and yoga should be. It's more about exploration and finding what works for you than it is about, I'm going to follow this set program that someone else is doing because that's what I've been told to do. If you're doing it and it doesn't feel right or it's not giving you any benefits, and it does take time, you want a couple of months of solid, consistent work and then to kind of test it before you see benefits. And you'll get DOMs when you first start. It will make you running harder when you first start. It won't feel pleasant, but you'll get over the hill eventually.
It doesn't need to be fancy, I think. And I often sometimes get clients when they start going, can we adapt? Can we change the strength program? I'm like, no, we can't. It's got to be repetitive because DOMs, you're going to get DOMs from new exercises, but also it doesn't need to be if you're a bit frightened about going to the gym because you're there's so many machines, there's so much stuff. I see so much stuff. There's too complicated. All these people on Instagram doing all these super simple exercises that you can do. And it is all about repetition. Yes, you can mix it up, but depending where you are on your program, how much running you're doing, how much weight you want to be lifting, but there's a sort of ingredient of what you want to always be putting into a program. Does that go on to your next question a little bit?
Well, I'm curious. I always like the push, pull, pivot, and then maybe a bit of core. Is there like you said, I know I appreciate it's individual for everybody, but is there some fundamentals that you would apply to, if someone was to ask you, Eddie, Kim, what are my go-to exercises? Half a dozen go-to exercises.
I agree with the push, pull, pivot and mobility in that. So I would, if you're starting from absolute scratch and you've never done anything strength-based before, and I don't mean if you're someone that's been to, what do you call them, Zumba classes and stuff like that. I don't mean that kind of thing where it's more cardio. If you've never picked up weights before or bands before, you need to start with body weight stuff. So your push exercises are things where you're sort of working against gravity to move up and down, I guess is the best way of explaining it. So squats, presses, lunges. Yeah. So press ups, chest press, overhead press, anything that you're pushing.
Grunting,
yeah.
Grunting exercises.
The pulls are things like deadlifts, rows. When I say rows, I don't mean with a rowing machine. I mean like a weighted row or a banded row where you're pulling that weight, a pull-up, or a version of that. And rotational exercises are anything where you're kind of, twisting your torso, I guess. So we need that motion as well. I think this is one that people miss, is the rotational exercises. What you often see with a lot of people when they're running is they'll run from their shoulders like this. There's no movement in the body, and we want that rotation in the torso as well. I forget this is a podcast and I'm doing things that people don't want to see me doing.
Go to YouTube.
Look on YouTube. Look on YouTube at my running demonstration. What people do. Are you going for a run? I'm milking a cow. But you need that sort of mobility in your ribs and your back as well. So rotational exercises are things like wood choppers, windmills, and I realise I'm saying strange words here, but it's basically just moving your torso in the opposite direction. You might do ball slams from side to side. I would you can do a split, you can do a push day and a pull day, or you can do a bit of each in each session. And I don't necessarily think you need to include core as such, like specific core stuff. If you're doing these kind of movements that are compound movements that aren't just focusing on individual isolated muscles, then you'll get a bit of core in there. And if you're doing them right. So the thing I would say is, if you've never done it before and your only source is YouTube, you need to go and see a PT, or you need to go and see someone who knows what they're doing, that can look at you and go, right, this is what you need to do to make this work for you. So for example, I'm talking a lot, aren't I?
That's the point of a podcast.
Good,
You're doing good.
They don't want to
really
hear
hit
us.
the nail on the head. I'm talking. No guest has ever said that before to us. I'm talking a lot.
I'm like apologising for talking. So for example, I'm not a fan of, for me personally, I'm not a fan of squatting, but I do it. And the reason for that is my anatomy doesn't suit it, which again sounds like a cop-out, but it's true. Some people are just, some exercises you're going to find difficult to access. So for me, when I squat, I have to make some adjustments. So I can't do feet forward, ass to grass squat without toppling over backwards or without really leaning forwards, because I've got a long femur. So if I try and sit backwards with that long top leg bone and my bottom leg bone's quite short, of course, it's physics, isn't it? I'm going to go backwards.
Wow, yeah.
I've also got quite immobile ankles because I'm a runner. I would imagine most of your listeners have quite immobile ankles. They're fine for what they need to do, but if I'm trying to go into a deep squat, they don't let me. So I need to, with that combination, I need to set my feet wider, turn my toes out a bit, and really focus on keeping my chest up. And I just don't go as deep either. I'm never going to be able to do an ass to grass squat properly with weight on, with good form. Or if I want to do that and get really deep into a squat, I have to put my heels on something.
I think a lot of runners, the heels on a weight, it's much better, because also we want that element of stiffness in our muscle from, especially as most of us are trail runners, you actually do want a little bit of stiffness in the ankles, and a certain degree of unflexibility because we want that strong muscle. We are working as trail runners and road runners, as just runners generally, in a very small plane of motion. We want to move the body outside of that plane of motion during strength and conditioning, but actually when it's in that plane, we need it to be quite rigid and quite strong as well. All these exercises, like Kim said, have got to come from a basis of basic good body weight. And often as runners, most of us don't need to worry so much about adding in a lot of weight at the moment. You need to start from always just doing some basic body weight exercises to make sure that you're actually strong enough just to hold yourself, and little simple body weight exercises that you can do to do that. You can just squat against the wall. Just look at your form for a basic squat. Do some lunges, forward lunges, test yourself with some backward lunges. Just do some basic pivots from side to side, planks, press ups. I would say if you can't hold your weight in a press up position for about 30 seconds, don't even think about starting that gym membership yet. You can do so much at home with just like working on basic planking, press ups, and building the body weight there. And the strength will be there. If you're a runner, the strength will be there. It's more about like turning that strength on. Would you agree with that, Kim? It's often just about people who go, I can't do that. And then they're like, oh, suddenly, oh, okay. And the quickness of the learnt motion goes to show that actually it's not so much you've gained strength, you've just turned on the brain to the muscle of what it should be doing.
Yeah, the mind-body connection is huge, isn't it?
Mind-body connection. Everything I say, Kim comes out with it better than me. So I think perhaps you need to take over this whole podcast because you've got a much better way of doing it. The mind-body connection.
The English teacher.
Yes, it's the English. This is it.
But and you've got to make those pathways connect. If you've never tried a press up in your life before, your brain doesn't know what you're doing. You need to show it how to do that. And it might be, I like a negative press up. If you're someone that can't do a press up, you lower yourself as slowly as you can to the floor, and then you just bring yourself back up however you need to. Press ups against the wall. You don't need to do 30 press ups in a oneer the first time you try it. You have to build those connections, and you have to build those pathways through repetition. So if you've got like most people say they don't have enough time to do strength work, everyone can find, I think, a couple of slots of half an hour across the week. Ideal world, if you're starting from scratch, I think you should be doing 3 short, easy sessions a week. So things like bodyweight squats, negative press ups, good mornings, which are a version of a deadlift. So instead of just getting a big weight to do a deadlift, you get a broom or a walking pole, you put it across the top of your shoulders, and you just hinge at your hips. Again, you need to get someone to show you how to do this properly rather than just trying to do it off YouTube. That one especially, a hip hinge, is quite hard to get right.
Because you've got to start in the right position, otherwise.
I see a lot of people rounding their shoulders. You've got to keep your spine really level, and there's a lot of technique to it. It's not hard once you get the hang of it, but you do need to have someone looking at you, ideally. So whether it's a PT or someone that, a friend that knows what they're doing.
A mirror can be a great friend in strength and conditioning training. Yeah. If you're going to invest in something, maybe if you're looking at getting some stuff at home, a mirror or a window that you can just glance at yourself and video yourself. Video, check yourself out.
I know it's cringy, isn't it? It's awful, but it's a good way of seeing and do it from different
It's just always so disappointing because I really don't look how I know I look. I think always the video lies.
It does. Absolutely.
The camera adds 10 pounds. How many cameras are on you right now?
You can go a long way just at home. I think it's probably the last 6 months I've been going to the gym. Sometimes people would put maybe a bit of friction. I can't do this because it's not the kind of gold star what I see on YouTube people should do.
Yeah, and I think not setting like this has to be an hour of my day. It doesn't need to be perfect. Do it in your jeans. You can do it, you can do it with kids. You can do it bringing the shopping in. The kettle's boiling. You can get your band out and do some side leg, some clamshells. You can, you're sweeping, you're hoovering. It doesn't need to be the ideal. No training is ever ideal. None of us are professional. We've got the whole day to do this. So fitting in little bits, 15 to, and I do think that like, if you can't do your strength and conditioning program in 30 minutes, it's too long. Because it's just like doing a running session. Over 30 minutes worth of quality work, it becomes not quality work because
I'm in there for an hour already.
Yeah, but there's a lot of posing, isn't there? There's a lot of I bet the actual work you're doing is probably about half an hour, rather than an hour. I don't know what you're doing, eating protein bars or whatever. Before we jump into some of the questions, maybe people would think, how do they fit this into training is probably the biggest question. Do you reckon, Gary, of those ones that we got left?
Well, yeah, I never managed to do this correctly. I'm always lifting heavy just before a hard session. I don't give myself enough recovery. But assuming you can manage your time perfectly, when would you lift and fit that in around your running, basically? Is there a duration of rest between the 2 sessions?
I mean, you've got to cycle it as well. It's not just fitting it in week on week. It's thinking about your whole training plan. So if you've got races and things mapped out across 6 months or a year, you need to look at when you need to be focusing your training on your running and when you've got a bit of time maybe to step back from that. So for example, again, ideal world, if you have a an off season. So if you've got, I'm just using this randomly, if you've got winter as a bit of an off season, your race isn't until June, your main race is until June. You're probably going to do a few races over the winter, but they're nothing that you're going to really focus on. It's just for training purposes. You might use that winter block to do your heavy lifting then. And then as you move out of winter, coming into the spring, you would par that right back. You might be doing the same movements, but you're going to take the weight right back, and you're going to focus more on mobility and just doing the movements well, because your running then gets more important. You've got to, if running is your main thing and you want to improve at your running, that has to be the focus, and the strength work has to complement that. You're not going to be able to build, and you shouldn't have to try and build big strength from doing those heavy lifts. The heavy lifts are there to help you be healthy and to be a better runner. I wouldn't be heavy lifting all year round at all. Not as a runner.
If you're doing your running program right, you shouldn't be you shouldn't be able to, but also you won't get stronger, because the heavy lifting causes the muscle breakdown, and in order to get stronger, you need rest, you need recovery, you need to protein feed that body, and then by going and running, you're actually just breaking down the muscle again, so you're sort of counteracting it. So but with strength training, a little bit different to running as well, is that heavy lifting, it's got that program, as Kim said, you don't forget it, you don't lose it. You might lose some of that gym strength, but that strength will stay in your muscles and your joints and your tendons to lead you on to the change. It's got to be a changeable, sort of cyclical, is that the right word? English teacher? Cyclical program. So when I did this, I did loads of heavy lifting into, and then when I started my big spine block, I didn't do any lifting at all. I did just core mobility, lying on the sofa sort of thing, because of the volume of the training was so big but I had that strength. I had that strength there that I could then use in that training. And then it all sort of came together in the running. So it's worth, if you're thinking about where to fit it in your block, kind of thinking about it like that. What about in like your general week? Where do you put the strength and conditioning in relation to like hard sessions, easy sessions, long run?
I mean, it's different. It's such a cop out. It's different for different people.
It's just to help people think as well. Think about everybody's different. Everybody works differently, and so we get that. Don't worry.
And it's worth trying different things. So like you do your big day, Gary, on the day that you do your hard session, your hard run session. It might be worth doing your hard run session first, and then your heavier lifting later if you can. Because then the lifting isn't compromising the running, which is the key thing. Yeah. And then having a rest day the day after, or 2 days after, depending on how long it takes you to recover. You don't want to be then doing longer stuff, close to those days. So you can do it like that if you're short on time. That's a good, efficient way of doing it, is putting your hard session and your hard run session and your heavier lifting day together, but making sure you're recovering well after that for 1, 2, 3 days after that. Or I've got someone, so most of the people that I coach, they do 2, maximum 3 strength sessions a week, depending on where they are in the plan. Most of them are doing 2 at the moment because they're training for stuff. I usually give people sort of superset-y things. So things like, again, depending on what experience they've got, where they are in the plan, we would superset 2 exercises. So that just means you put 2 exercises together that are either different or opposite muscle groups or the same muscle group, depending on your experience and where you are in your plan. And it's just a bit more efficient for time. So rather than doing one exercise, resting, doing the exercise again, resting, you're doing one exercise followed by the other exercise, having a little rest, and you go back and do that pair again. And then you do that pair again, you have a longer rest, and then you move on to your second pair. And you might only do 3 pairs in a session. And if you're concentrated and you're not chilling out,
bang it out, 18 minutes, bang that sort of thing out.
Bit of a stretch afterwards, bit of a cool down, bit of a warm up to start with, you're done. That's how I like to do things, is supersetting, because it's more efficient. I did have someone recently, and it's rare that this happens, who is just like, I'm not doing it. I'm just like, it's on my plan, it's just not happening. I don't have the headspace, the time, whatever it is, I'm not doing it. So we need to think of something different. So I gave him 4 sessions, I think, of like 5 exercises that he could either do 1 round of each day, or he could do 2 if he had more time. So it's like 10-15 minutes 4 times a week. And he does that, I hope he does that, gets up and does it first thing in the morning, and then that's it for the day. So that's it. It has to work for you, and it has to be something that you can do consistently. So whether that's 2 or 3 longer half-hour sessions or 4 or 5 little 10-minute sessions. It's got to be something that you can do. As far as putting things near your runs, again, it's a bit of a learning curve. So I think if you've got a hard run session planned, you either don't do a strength session that day, or you can do it even straight after the run, to be honest, because you're warmed up then, but you've got to recover afterwards. Well, you've got to have a day or two of rest afterwards.
I think ideal world, people say, hard days hard, easy days easy. But also sometimes that's really, then people beat themselves up because they're like, well, yeah, but then I have to do I only can get to the gym on Tuesday because that works with family or work, wherever, but then I do my club sessions on the Monday and stuff. It's never going to be perfect. The biggest thing is to make sure that you're fueling. It's the fuel that's absolute key to the running and the strength work. If you are doing hard days, or you're having to do like 2 hard days and then an easy day, that's it. That's the way that works. That's fine. You just need to then really, almost more than thinking about the sessions, you need to think about how I'm going to feel before these sessions, how I'm going to feel after. Where's the recovery going to fit into this, rather than almost where they're going to be. So like Gary, you're heavy lifting on the Friday and then your long run, that huge muscle breakdown. But then you lay on the sofa on Sunday and you ate chocolate until it came out of your eyeballs and you had a nice rest. So in some ways you could say, okay, though that was really tough. You put your body through the rinser for those 2 days, but then you gave yourself downtime, fuel. So it's thinking always for strength and conditioning and stuff. It's thinking outside the box as well.
And on that, when you're doing your strength work, it doesn't have to be a workout. Like I don't think you should be sweating or getting your heart rate high in a strength session ever. Strength and conditioning are 2 different things. Your strength work it should be slow and considered, and you should be trying to be as aware of your movement as possible, and you should be really focused on how you're moving and not be rushing it or not trying to get a burn or not trying to get your heart rate up. Conditioning is what you're doing when you're doing your hard run sessions, your hill sprints, your strides, your
plyometrics.
Yeah, you're jumping. So you can do, again, what I like to do sometimes with people is we'll do the superset session and then we'll do a little finisher. So the 3 pairs of exercises that they've got will be slow, will be controlled, maybe hard, but not in a hard breathing or sweaty kind of way. And then the last thing they'll do, and again, I wouldn't put this close to a race or anything, just a little finisher of something a little bit quicker, like kettlebell swings that does get your heart rate up a little bit, or box jumps or burpee style things for like a couple of minutes at the end of the session. But your whole session,
nobody will get me.
There's some good alternatives. There's some really good. I'll tell you about sprawl later. That's quite cool. But
it's Jayson. That's Jayson's influence. I can just tell he's like, let's commando roll and across the gym. And I
love how flexible it is, and it's a good shout out for maybe having a coach or a mentor, because I would think I said earlier, my sessions are about an hour, and sometimes that fills me with anxiety that I can't physically do it, and then maybe that's enough friction for me not to do it. But then, like you said, Kim, about one of your clients was struggling to do that, so you broke it down into 4 smaller sessions. I think having that separate set of eyes to look at you, that's quite powerful. That is there, well, that's a question from a patron, actually, Gavin Laws, and we probably brushed on this, to be honest, but when it comes to strength training, what gives you more bang for bucks if you're short on time?
Doing something like supersetting is really useful. So it depends what he means by short on time. I think you should, if you've got 2 slots a week and you can do 1 push day and 1 pull day, I would say do superset your pushing. So you might do squats, weighted squats paired with single leg squats. You might do like 3 sets of 10 of each. 3 sets of 8 to 10 is usually a good rep range. You don't want to be, and again, depending on where you are, but that's a good like maintenance range. You're probably not going to give yourself too much DOMs. It's still going to have a good effect on you, but it's not too big. And then you might superset an overhead press with a press up. Again, 3 by 10, 3 sets of 10 each, something like that. And then you might do a little core finisher, like some kettlebell swings. That's going to take you 20, 25 minutes, and it's time well spent. So I think it's a little bit of a mindset shift as well. Not going, where can I fit it in? It's kind of a pain and a chore. Going, actually, this is as valuable to me and to my health as running. So I need to make the time. If that means compromising on a bit of running, if it means getting up a bit earlier, a couple of days a week, I think everyone can find a bit of time if they really look and if they think about it long term, rather than just how is this going to help my running go? Do I want to be the 80-year-old that's still running comfortably, relatively comfortably? Do I want to be able to get out of bed and play with my grandchildren on the floor, rather than how is this going to help my race in 6 months' time?
Shall we move on to a little bit more bendy, flexible?
Yeah.
Not just, Jeanette Cross wants to know, how and when did you discover the wonders of yoga, and what do you feel the main benefits are for both running and life generally?
So I think I went to my first yoga class when I was about 17 or 18, I think. And it was in a primary school hall, taught by the primary school head teacher called Colin. And it was really nice. It was Iyengar yoga, which is the only type of classes that I've consistently gone to. So it's a kind of yoga that's very focused on precision and getting your posture right. So that first experience with Colin, he was very much like, he wanted everyone to look the same, the shapes to be the same. And this was one of my early experiences of my long femurs. I didn't realize this was why. He was trying to get me into a warrior two. And the only way I could get into it was to pretty much do the splits to get my thigh parallel to the floor, which is what he was asking me to do. And I was like, it's not working. And I didn't realize it was my anatomy. It wasn't because I was terrible at it. So I went to that for a few years with friends. And then I found another teacher because Colin stopped doing those classes. And it was the same style, but this guy was really tall, like over 6 foot, like 6'5" or something ridiculous, really gangly. And there was a lot of the postures that he couldn't do himself, which was really nice because he would sometimes just show us a picture.
I love it.
Like, this is what it's supposed to look like. This is how I do it. And so that was nice. So it just shows within the same style of yoga, you've got these two very different types of teachers. Colin could do everything. Simon couldn't do as much, but they were both still practicing and very good teachers and both still showing us how to do it. So yeah, I went to him for a couple of years as well. And then I kind of put it down for some reason. I can't remember why. And then came back to it again. And that's when I found Adrian. One of my old coaching clients pointed me in her direction, probably in 2016 or so. I liked her style. I think it's important to find a teacher that you sort of gel with, whether that's online or not. But I also think it's important to do some live classes as well, in-person classes, before you jump into YouTube. For the same reasons that you might see a PT for strength work, just because it seems quite benign, but you can do some damage if you're not careful. And I love it for, I don't measure it. I don't record when I do yoga. I don't write down what I did. I don't Strava it or anything like that. It's just a practice, and it's time for me in the day. Yeah, it's about the physical benefits are great, but also the mental benefits, I think, are the most important. Yoga means union, and it's a very holistic thing. So there's a lot of different facets to it. It's not just the physical asana, the movements and the postures. What I like about it is that you tie in your breath to it. I only realized this as I started doing yoga and strength work and working with different people, different practitioners, that I kind of lived up here in my chest. And I think a lot of people do. And I've still got really tight neck from years of just breathing so shallowly. And so that's a constant work in progress, and yoga helps with that. And breathing obviously is good for running. Everyone should be breathing. But no, I love it for the physical benefits are great. I'm still not the most flexible person. I've been practicing for years and years, most days. And there's a lot of stuff that I still can't do, and I teach.
What stuff do you find quite hard? I find this really fascinating because obviously I'm just starting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty much professional now. I've been doing it for a couple of months, pretty much there. What stuff as a runner do you, because I think people as well that might be thinking about starting or starting their journey, it's a whole new world out there. What sort of stuff do you find hard as a runner doing yoga? Should we expect to find hard and not be worried that we can't do?
Yeah, you shouldn't be worried about
everything.
Yeah. The forward folds are hard. Seated forward fold is one of the hardest.
Oh, I just sort of lean forward and go, I'm doing my best, Adrienne. Let's just go with this.
You've just got to accept, and that's the beauty of it as well. It sounds really corny, but you've got to accept where you are on that day. And it might be different to the following day or the following week. You've got to accept that your heels aren't going to go down to the floor in downward dog, probably ever.
Never,
You've got to accept that seated forward fold, your legs are never going to get straight, and be able to fold your chest down to your legs at the same time is, as runners, we're going to have, like you said, you need that stiffness. You don't want to be super bendy, and it's actually dangerous for us to get super bendy. And that's not a reason, I think, not to do yoga.
Yes. And that's what stopped me from doing it, because I couldn't do it, because I'm like a tin, and I'm still like a tin. But what I can do now, after having done it for a couple of months, is use the breath to breathe into the stretch and know that the stretch will come. And what's amazing is that it does improve quite quickly. You're suddenly like, oh, I can lift my leg forward into that warrior one pose. Whereas before I'd be like lifting it round. And I said that to so many people. We talked about the podcast. I started the yoga revolution that so many people are now doing it. And I said, honestly, within 2 weeks, you will be able to do stuff that you couldn't do at the start, which will complement the running. We're never going to be able to, like you said, the forward fold, anything hamstring, it's always going to be a stiff, but that's good. We learn to breathe into it, and there will be release in that stretch that we couldn't do before. And that's the sort of, you're looking for the release rather than like maybe performing. And Adrienne is amazing for that, because she's not judgy. She has no interest in actually how well you're doing. It's just about being present and doing the exercise, how it feels good.
And you're doing well by doing it. Like, it's not, there is no standard.
It's my life motto. You're turning up. You've done so well. You've rolled your mat out. Eddie, you've done amazing.
But it's true. Like, it's called practice. It's not training. This isn't training, and you shouldn't think of it as training. It's a process. I got into it for fitness or whatever, I don't know, but it does build strength, and it builds stability. Like, that's really important.
That plank position now, like my press up position, I'm like, I could literally run the world from this position now. It doesn't feel like a exercise. It feels like the starting block of somewhere. Whereas before, that to me, that would be like 30 seconds. I'd be like, oh my God. I'd be like, but now, like, my wrists, everything is just like, this feels good. And the only thing I like wish I'd started earlier, and I think that's a compliment to yoga, is that, like, why have I always resisted it? I feel silly for that resistation.
Well, you've got the mentality as well, haven't you? You're a racer, you're a competitor, like, you work hard. Like,
I'd rip your head off.
If something's not working hard, is it worth doing? And I think that's sometimes, again, where a lot of runners are coming from. If it's not benefiting me, my running, if it's not breaking a sweat, if I'm not getting my heart rate up, it's not worth my time. Whereas we need to do more of the opposite of that. We need to sort of slow everything down, and we need to just chill out a little bit. Some of the best, like, I don't often do her harder sessions. If I'm picking for myself, I'll pick the chilled, stretchy ones, not just laying down for 10 minutes, but there's an element of that. We're trying, you're stressing your body with running, you're stressing your body with your strength, you're stressing your body with work, probably. I don't coach many people that go, I skip into my job every day, I love it, it's a great way to spend my time. Like, you need to counter that, and that's what yoga can do. So its physical benefits are awesome. You'll get more flexible and more mobile eventually with consistent practice. You'll get really stable, you'll get a brilliant awareness of where your body is in space and what's going on in your body. But the downtime, I think, is the most important thing, the most precious thing. Just switch everything else off. Go on, if you can, go and be on your own.
I love that. I love that downtime, that 20 minutes of, like, nobody is coming within. And that's the beauty of a yoga mat. Like, even the kid, like, you don't come on my mat, not even the dogs. I'm like, I've got this safety zone. Get off my mat. And it was something that the spine really taught me. It was the importance. And anyone going to train for something mega long, mega scary, to them, can be any distance. Like, the ability to actually, and to complete an ultra, sometimes, more often than not, you have to slow down. You can't treat it like a marathon. You need to be able to slow down. Patience is massive. Take your time. And something I learned in the spine was, like, the importance of breath and breathing. When it all became too much for me, and we'll all know that feeling, you think, I can't do it. I can't do it. Even like 4 days into it, I would get those complete moments of, like, this is too big for me. And that ability. And I think that's sort of what led me into my yoga journey after the spine, was like my ability to take a breath, stop, breathe, lower the rib cage, pull the shoulder blades back down, find my center, and like that's all what yoga is about, like the stopping rather than the actual doing, as says, is really important. There's a time and place to get fiery or spicy, as Adrienne says, but it's very short-lived within each yoga practice, however hard they are. You do bits, which I like as well, like you do bits is so different from anything I have ever done, like sort of like body work and stuff in the gym, and I'm really enjoying that journey. So if you haven't got into a yoga journey yet, give it a go. And lots of people have come to me and then gone, oh, the 30 days of yoga, it's going to be like 80 days, I can't do everything. I'm like, it's your journey. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not like, the running plan where it's like, we want it all green on Training Peaks, we want it all ticked off, we've got to do all these sessions. Yoga goes like it has in your life, Kim. It comes and it goes, and it's a beautiful thing to supplement. It doesn't need to be additional.
You're not ticking off. You're not going, right, I've done my session for today and I nailed that tree pose. You're just like, it's time for yourself. And sometimes it can just be, but this is why I like a morning routine. So again, I give pretty much everyone I coach, unless they're dead against it, some kind of morning routine, and it is yoga based. So some cat cows, some sun salutations. It can even just be standing in mountain pose and just getting everything, just focusing on everything from the ground up. If you stand still in mountain pose and literally go from your toes and work your way up your body, just sending your awareness to every little element and standing up straight and tall and coming into that anatomical position, that's just a 2-minute moment of peace to start your day, where you've checked out what's going on, and then you can get on with your day. You've had a breathe, and
I've used that checklist then from that mountain pose where you talk about like going through all your toes and your feet. I've used that then in like my 3-minute sessions when I'm like, the heart rate's really high, I'm under a lot of stress, and I've gone, okay, what I'm going to concentrate now is just going through my foot, going through my feet, using my toes. Are my toes crunched up in my trainer, trying as hard as they can? Definitely. I'm going to relax and try and push through that whole foot. So I love the finding ways to use the yoga practice in my running as well. And as I said, I'm very much in the beginning of that journey, but I can see it might not work for you, but you've got nothing to lose by trying it out. A huge topic to discuss that we've managed to put into an hour. Hopefully that might have inspired you to jump on board a little bit of the strength and conditioning train, the yoga train, both. And to remind ourselves, if you're already on that train, there's no perfect way to train ever. Do what works for you, or in the words of Adrienne, do what feels good. It's my new life mantra. B plus all round for everybody, and do what feels good at the time of what feels right for you, and that can change, and that's good as well. Kim, thank you so much. What wisdom from Kim. And we knew that because when we put on Facebook that you're coming, everyone was like, oh, gold, what a woman.
Oh,
wow.
Gary, my friend Gary Scott.
Yeah, saw that.
Big fan. We're not going to let you go just yet, though, because we got to really grill you now. You thought the last hour was tough.
It's serious.
It's always quite a tough one, this, but you find a £50 note on the trail run. What do you do? Hand it in? Keep it?
I would probably keep it unless I might put, if it was like an area that I knew people that ran around that area, I might ask around a little bit. But what are you going to, like, the police aren't going to do anything with that, are they? They're going to pocket it.
I've heard if you handed it into a police station and you went back, say, in a fortnight and no one has collected it, you can claim that £50. But
yeah, they're just going to go, yeah, sorry, no one collected it, did they, Gov? No.
I found a wedding ring once on a path in our town, and I knocked on all the doors around where it was dropped. No one knew anything about it. I put a little sign up. I put a Facebook post on our local Moan site thing. No one knew anything about it, and it was ages, and it was just sat in our fruit bowl, and I was like, I don't know what to do with this. So I gave it to Jason's mum, sells antiques in a little antique shop, so I just gave it to her to put in her cabinet. I don't think it's sold. It's a wedding ring. So
maybe it was the end of a.
Yeah, I was like, someone's just
looking for it
out the window.
So have. Oh my god.
But yeah, money. I don't know. Money's. I found a wallet once as well, but again, it's got stuff in it that people can. But need. So I managed to get that back to the owner. But if it's just cash, I don't know. It's fair game, isn't it?
I love it. Yeah, fair game. Good, isn't it?
I'm not commenting on that.
Give it to charity. There we go.
That would be paid forward. Maybe have a a round of drinks or a few coffees on it and then give the rest to charity. That'd be
Yeah.
good. Okay, you're right. You ran 100 miles neck and neck with another competitor. Do you cross the line together holding hands or do you go for the win?
Topical.
Oh,
You'd probably, if it was the whole way and you'd like built up a little relationship, you'd probably finish together, wouldn't you? I don't know.
Never.
I'd like to think I would race it, but
Depends how you're feeling, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
if you're feeling a bit tired, you'd be like, should we just run this in together?
if you knew they were feeling good, you'd be like, oh, let's finish together.
yeah.
I think that'd be a really
You could
nice thing
assess
to do. I did once. I ran not the whole way, but I ran the Half-Mars 55. It was the first time I'd run it, 2015, with Shelley Gordon, who she sort of picked me up after her friend dropped out, and we ran together for quite a long time. And she was keeping me going at a pace that I probably wouldn't have done without her. And then we were getting closer to the end, and I was suffering quite a lot, and she was better than me. I kept trying to tell her to go to take second, but she wouldn't do it. So we ended up finishing that together, but that was her fault. So
I think I remember that race. It was finishing at Helmsley that year.
yeah, oh, it was
I
awesome.
remember that. Yeah,
It was awesome.
Favorite yoga position?
Kind of knew you were going to ask me that. I like tree. I do like a good tree. It's very centering, and you've got to really focus on the position. It looks cool, but it takes a lot to.
It's very telling of your mood and
Yes.
your energy, isn't it?
Yeah, if you're not quite there, you'll topple. But you've really got to focus on that. I do like crow pose as well, but again, that's a tricky one.
I'm going to have to Google all these. I don't know what any of these are.
You'll love crow pose. Crow pose is hard. It's awesome.
Okay, right. Crow pose. I've got some homework to do. Bucket list race.
I'm actually doing one this year, UTMB. I know, again, it's controversial, isn't it? But I've wanted to do it for a good decade, so that's happening this year. I would like to do the Transamerica. Not what do you call it? Trans-Rockies. Trans-Rockies looks awesome.
That would be wonderful. That would be
Yeah.
absolutely
Like
wonderful.
a proper adventure. Yeah, UTMB's been my only one for quite a long time.
Oh, I hope it lives up. I hope it lives up
Um,
to expectation. If we go in recce, I bet the recce is brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be
like
better
all
than-
these things.
yeah.
It's like the spine recce. James and I always say, like the recce was so much fun. The race was
Kind of sucks.
kind of sucked.
I think I'd love to go over there and absorb it all. I think it does look like a big festival, circus, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it does look wonderful.
Mm.
Current favourite running shoes?
The Scarpa Golden Gate Kima are incredible. I did a little review for them recently, and they're a racer. They're a racing shoe. They're really but they feel so comfy. They've got a carbon plate in them as well, and they're just super comfy. They look narrow, but they're not, and they're awesome. I can't. The tongue's some kind of magic. I love them at the moment. Also, I'm really into Scarpa shoes at the moment. Trying to rebelly run as well. I'm really enjoying them.
Got a competition prize this week with that.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I know Scarpa have got some history in footwear. They haven't just come from nowhere, but in the trail running scene, 2 years, I suppose, seems to ring a bell. Yeah, lots of athletes, I think. Emma Watson, Dougie Zinnes, John Shield, they're all rocking the trails with their Scarpa shoes. It's really good too.
I just ordered the Golden Gate as well. They look really similar to the Hoka Challengers, which I wanted to love for so many years, but they just hate me so much. So I'm hoping they're the friendlier version.
Gary, you just said Emma Watson. That's the actress.
Yeah, Hermione Granger. Emma Stewart.
Emma Stewart. Do you want to say it again? I could have left it. I couldn't. Or just cut it out. Cut that
That's
bit.
fine to leave it in.
Amazing.
I always cock something up,
Hermione,
it's fine.
she loves a Scarpa. Seen all those Harry Potter films. She is there.
All right, you're off on holiday. You're going to take a kettlebell, yoga mat, or a dumbbell.
Yoga mat.
I wanted to add Jayson in that list. I wanted to say kettlebell, yoga mat, dumbbell, or Jayson. Who are you
Yoga mat.
taking?
If you're on holiday, you want to lay down on your yoga mat, don't you? You don't want to be.
And it can be used for so many things.
You're going to have to pay more baggage as well with the old dumbbell and the kettlebell.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, hell yeah. We hadn't thought about that.
I love a
Jeez.
kettlebell. Kettlebells are my favourite thing, but on holiday, yoga mat, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Instagram story music time. What song are you going to go for, Kim?
I've been thinking about this, and it was a toss-up between Brittany and Kelly Clarkson because of the theme, but I've gone Brittany stronger.
Yeah.
Oh, you like Brittany, do you, Gary?
Do you like Brittany? Yeah.
Oh, good.
Oh, gosh. Normally so scathing of any...
Bloody hell, she's been a part of my life for...
She's been around the block, you were going to say, weren't you?
I wasn't going to say that at all. Been an ever-present for a long time, Brittany.
Yeah. I thought stronger was appropriate.
You made a note of that, Eddie. I don't want to text whenever time in.
Oh, my God, every week. Judgy. It's noted, and I will lose the piece of paper it's written on and message you on Friday morning as per normal. You'd be sad if I didn't. You'd wonder what had happened to me.
I would be sad.
Kim, thank you so much. Yeah, brilliant, amazing. So much we could talk on, no doubt. You'll muscle your way in another few months as well. Good luck. Good luck with the London Marathon. Looking forward to seeing pictures of you.
Yeah, best of luck with that.
Costume. And then for your training for UTMB, hopefully share some miles with you for that as well.
Thank you. It's been fun.
Thanks.
It's
Take care.
Fun.
I thought that was great, Eddie, and loads of takeaways too. You know, I think I'm flying the flag from the non-coached athletes still. So shows like that and chats like that are just so valuable. And, you know, people can use it as reference and go back if they just want some little tips and tricks to help them with their strength and conditioning and yoga. Yeah, I loved it. Tales from the Trails again, and the first thing I always love to do is check out Strava. Well, Sean Duffy has been just so busy. You know, earlier in the week, I checked out...
he must have done the Pegasus 200, the race across Wales.
I see. Okay, I've not checked his Strava, but I did check out Strava leaderboard. I think it must have been Friday, and Sarah Perry was crushing it. And I thought, oh, another week for Sarah. But yeah, whatever happened over the weekend changed that, because Sean Duffy, 219 miles and 57, well, pretty much 58 hours of exercise and just under 32,000 feet of elevation too. Whoa. Well, I thought, I was doing 17,000 feet. I thought,
I know, Gary, I know. I'm sorry. You really tried, but you need to go into a 200-mile race across Wales.
Yeah. I think, when you do a race or one of these accumulators, you smash the Strava leaderboard. But awesome. Well done, everybody.
Some wonderful Tales from the Trails. We've got a queue of Tales from the Trails, but I love them. They're my favourite bit. I think they're lots of people's favourite bits. This one's from Emma Waltons. I was wrecking the first 50k of the Beacons 100k race solo. Knowing that it was meant to be the first hot day of the year with no shops on the route, I decided to take my new Salomon filter flask. The plan was to park my car at Telebont Usk, run 50k across the Beacons, and for my husband to pick me up at the lay-by opposite a pub to take me back to my car. Thanks for all the deets there, Emma, setting the scene. I like it. I set off early to get kilometres in before the heat and stopped to fill up my water and add my electrolytes fuel along the way. Nutrition and navigation went well and made it to the lay-by for the allotted pickup time. Whilst I was waiting, I decided to pop into the pub for a Coke. Queuing at the bar, I got some funny looks, but didn't think much of it and bought my Coke. Sat down outside and looked at my black calf cards, which salt. Again, didn't think much of it. My husband arrived and I got in the car, turned to talk, and he asked if I'd seen my face, pulled down the car sun visor and was greeted with the crustiest face of salt I've ever seen in my life. It's like I dipped my face in a bowl of salt. I was handed the baby wipes and we drove to get my car laughing. This was my confirmation that I am a very salty sweater, but I had no cramps on the race, so I must have got my nutrition right.
Hey.
When it came to the actual race date, the weather couldn't be more the opposite. The only wet weekend of the summer with 40-mile-an-hour winds and driving rain. And I was the only female finisher. Hey, love it. There's a bit of salt, crusty salt. Oh, like your backpack when you get it off and it's like crusted with salt. I like the way no one told it in the pub. And I love your preparation for that race. And then the weather was completely opposite.
How good are those Salomon filters? Could you put it in a little mucky bit of tarn on the top of a mountain? Are the filters?
Depends how much you trust the filter, really, isn't it? The thing that I find is that especially the streams, is when I can see the bits floating in my water.
Yeah.
Or little bugs swimming around in it. I can't, Gary. I've had a few of those and I've been like, no, I can't. I'm going to die of dehydration rather than drink whatever.
Well, on Saturday,
water.
Just as we come to Threlkeld, I filled my bottle up. I didn't have the filter, and I looked in it. Yeah, there was just loads of stuff, little tiny objects in there floating around. So I took that away, and then for some reason I thought going 10 meters up the stream would make a difference.
Defo, I play that card as well, just a little bit further up. Nothing.
But I drank it.
In it.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
You're all right. Okay, I think I'd be really unlucky to drink. There's only once I was filling up once down by the pompiers, down by the fire engine, because there's lots of troughs with water at the in France around. And he said, oh, no, don't drink that. And I thought, I have drunk this so many times.
I wouldn't drink from a trough, no.
No, but it's not. No, there's water, fresh water coming in from like a hose or a little tap, not going into the trough.
I'm going to say.
Oh, that's feral. Maybe I have done that. Maybe, possibly. This is a big, don't, if you're eating, about to eat, doing a hard session.
Yeah.
Take a breath.
A guy sent an email in and his tales from the trails is on a hot, sunny Thursday afternoon in the Peak District last summer, I decided to go for a run after receiving a new pair of trail shoes and socks in the post that day. I was so excited, hopped in the car, got to the trail, put on my shoes and started to run. I was loving it. Big smile, singing and thinking life is great. The route was split into two parts with a long 2K road section in the middle. I just entered the road section and by this time the road was quite busy with early rush hour traffic. I felt a rumble in my belly and thought nothing of it. Then it happened again, kept running. Then again, the rumble. This time it sounded angry. I knew I needed to go now in all caps with an exclamation mark. I was quickly looking and scanning for any paths or opening on this busy road to dive into. We have all been there. Yes, correct. You found none. But clenched tight and waddling along, I eventually found a gate to a field. As I cocked my leg over the gate, but now not clenched, the cork popped on the champagne bottle. Oh my goodness me. Brown liquid came out at force all over my bum, legs, and later to find out my new socks and shoes. That's very graphic. I don't know what it is. There's something about the champagne cork. I quickly got over the gate, took off my shorts and pants and let World War III commence for 5 minutes. It eventually stopped and I found some leaves and twigs and I had 500 millimeters of tailwind to try and clean up the mess. It was not pretty. I had to throw my pants under the bush. Sorry, farmer. They were not savable. I put my wet, stinky shorts back on and ran the 8K. Oh, God, route itching, scratching and squelching back to my car with all poop stains down my legs, on my socks and my new not white anymore, brown shoes. He was devastated. Never done that route again and even wore those new shoes since. I can laugh about it now, but at the time, I wouldn't want that to happen even to my worst enemy.
I've got no words for that story. I wonder if a katsu curry was involved.
We have all been there. Not as spectacular as that though, Guy, but thanks for sharing that.
We have had a lovely message from Andy Pye. Loves the podcast, tries to listen to it every week you should be listening to every week on the journey to work. In his spare time, he runs a trail coaching business based at the Lickley and Wesley Hills, North Worcestershire, near Birmingham. He's hosting a trail running camp on April the 22nd, 23rd. And we asked us to give it a shout out. Of course we will. Find out all about it at trailrunwestmidlands.co.uk/West Midlands Trail Running Camp. It's aimed at trail and ultra runners who want to improve skills in their training and on the hills. Go and find that out. Going to check it out if you live around there and see if perhaps you could join in the camp. Sorry, it's a little bit late notice, but hopefully there might be some spaces left.
Yeah, and if you're a Patreon and you'd like us to shine a light on something that you're doing, host an event or something like this, then yeah, just reach out, get in touch. Shout out to Green and Miles Running 2, who staged a Pennine Journey North Race over the weekend. You had the choice of 112 miles or 52 miles. It looked like a great route, and well done everybody who towed the line, and well done Green and Miles for putting on a fantastic event. Shout out also to Kevin Watler, who is a listener of the show, of Triviate Trail Runners, who teamed up with Mike Shaw quite early on the 112 miles, and they finished together on Sunday morning. Kevin was raising money for Sporting Forces and Alder Hey Children's Hospital. So yeah, two great causes there. Well done, Kevin. Well done, everybody else who towed the line, and well done, Greener Miles Running too. Competition time, and we have a winner for our Scarpa Rebel Run shoes. Thanks for all the entries. It's been lovely seeing all the pictures over on Facebook. I always enjoy our competitions.
I wish I could pick everybody, or maybe I should go on and just say thank you to everybody.
We had a hot debate, listeners. Who's gonna?
We almost had a moment, Gary. Would you say we had a moment over?
We had a Zoom arm wrestle.
You gave him pretty easy, to be honest.
I did, yeah.
It's so hard to choose a winner when, like, you want to give it to everybody. So I don't think we can do this again, Gary. I think we have to do Wheel of Fortune again because it's just too much. We feel Gary wants to give them to everybody, but the sort of spirit of the competition we kind of liked, and the winner, we like the spirit that the person who's won brought to the competition. It was Melissa Montague, who said, I'd love to win a new pair of trainers for my husband. As a parish priest, he is meant to be curer of souls. However, as he went running in these this morning, I contest, laughing emoji. And there's a picture of his running shoes with the sole, with a big hole in the sole of the trainer. So we thought he probably would deserve and use a pair of Rebel Scarpa trainers, as not only I know he's a prolific ultra runner, but I expect he gives up a lot of his time helping and thinking about other people as well. So we like to pass on that goodness. We pass it on. And yes, please let us jump into our DMs, Melissa, and maybe keep it as a surprise. You can always just say they're from you as well. Get some brownie points, but hopefully we'll send us a picture of the wonderful vicar in his new shoes. I hope he can wear them during his services as well as out on the trail as well.
How are you feeling, Eddie? Do you need a boost? Do you need a 5-star review?
Oh my God, I so need a boost because I'm doing nothing but carting very ungrateful children around for all their various activities, who then come home grumpy and slam doors at me. Give me a boost. Tell me I'm better than just a taxi driver and tea maker.
Scared of Ultras over on Apple Podcast left a review. Dangerous listening. Absolutely love listening to the show on my long runs. A friend told me about it when I mentioned I fancy trying more trail running. What a slippery slope the podcast has caused. Hoping to get a place at the lap. I'd love to do that.
That's on our bucket list, isn't it?
Yeah. For my first ultra. So when I'm 40 miles in, I'll be cursing Eddie and Gary profusely. Such great content, great relationship between Eddie and Gary, and really inspiring. Lovely runners, and a love heart emoji. What a lovely review. Oh, thanks for that.
Good luck. Let us know when you get into the lap. 40 miles in. Bet you'll be loving it. You'll be almost finished. That won't be the worst bit, believe you me. Try 20 miles in. Do you want another one?
Yeah, one more.
Yeah, let's do this. Potamus. Feels like home. Oh my gosh, stop it. I listen to a few running podcasts. Some I like are just okay, but Tea and Trails somehow manages to welcome me in and makes me feel like I'm part of the family. Informative, thought-provoking, funny, sad. Tea and Trails has it all, but with a friendly, supportive and warm atmosphere about it, generated by the host. Just feels like home. Great work, guys. That is exactly our intention. Thank you for listening. Keep on listening. Thank you for the review.
Well, that's it again. The show's just rattled by, Eddie. But before we end the show, what have you got coming up this week?
Sometimes I wonder what we talk about, Gary, because we managed to fill this time. I'm like, what did we talk about? Where's that time gone? It's time to get moving and grooving. It's lunchtime. I got to keep the momentum up for the next couple of weeks. Tricky with everyone knows when the kids are on holiday, trying to keep the training momentum up. Keep the focus. Don't think, just do. I will try and cut myself a bit of slack. I always say that. I always go like, I'll have a few recovery days, but I'm sort of like, if I step off this training block, I'm scared I won't get back on it again. So I'm like, oh, I want to keep moving forward, but I will have a sort of like, just by the way the sort of next few days go, I will have to back off a little bit. And that's good. That's good. And it's almost good that it forces me to back off a little bit. I won't be able to put in quite as much running as I'd like to. But again, that's all good. That's all good. That's all fine. A little bit of extra rest. I'm not injured. I've got no niggles, touch wood. This is quite rarity for Eddie. I want to keep it like that. I won't be able to do my 2 nice long runs. It will just have to be 1. I was thinking, oh, well, because I've only got 1 run, I'll maybe make it 4 hours instead of 3. But then I thought, I don't really feel like I need to do a ton of 4, 5, 6 hour running. I did such a big lot of volume before the spine, to loads and loads of 30 milers. I don't really feel I need to do that. I much more feel like I do need to do those 3 hours just slightly faster than I want to run. I feel that that's more useful for me than
it's scary though, isn't it?
They're horrible, but they're so, I can go out and jog and hike for 6 hours. That's joy. That's easy. I need to do stuff that is a little bit faster, and so I just gotta do that. They're always, the start of those runs though are always horrible, aren't they, when you start your watch and you've got such a long way to go. Put on a couple of podcasts though, Gary, and suck it up and get it started. Yoga camp is back, as I said. I'm going to get back into that, and my 8 by 3 minutes on the treadmill. Maybe I'll do that when there's nobody at home, or if there is anybody at home, hopefully the mirror will have been purchased and I can put that up. I could turn the treadmill round, but then I would be facing like the hallway instead of the window, and I kind of like being able to see outside. It also means I normally do treadmill when the kids are here and they are busy doing something, but they don't need mum around. If they've got a friend, the older ones, if they've got a friend here, they really don't want me around. They want me in here with the door shut, so I don't know what's going on. But then I can see out the window. So if anyone tries to escape camp, Eddie, I can see people what they're doing. So yeah, same old, and letting the kids make inroads into their chocolate stash. Because I said earlier that I didn't get any chocolate, but oh my gosh, the children, the Easter bunny came and splurted chocolate everywhere. So I'm actually now encouraging heavy consumption of chocolate because I just want to get rid of it. They're like, can we have another chocolate egg? And I'm like, yeah, take all of these. I
think I'm going to melt them down and dip the strawberries in them. I love that.
Oh my, oh gosh, this is a picture I can't get out of my head.
It's super.
It's because I was watching Love is Blind the other night and they were like doing stuff with chocolate and strawberries. I'm sure
my Speedos for my strawberry
you
chocolate.
and your Speedos. Oh gosh, ladies. Right, apart from that, apart from dippage, what else are you going to be doing?
Oh, well, this my 5 times 1K threshold in 10 minutes and now goes to 15 minutes and 5 times 1K in 15 minutes. So bloody hell, that's like, so there's half an hour just in the 2 lots, 15 minutes. And then say you do your 4Ks at...
Jayson wouldn't approve of that session. He'd be like, you're mixing up too many zones. You can't train all those. You need to break that up. He does not like a mix-up session. He likes just one hitting one zone. But I get a mix-up session because also I think a psychological benefit of doing different stuff is really good as well, rather than just like your next session, doing different stuff as well sometimes brings better stuff. You run better.
Well, I think, yeah, you're right. It is more psychological because the 2 lots 15 minute really
You're like, this is just a warm up and a really, really hard cool down.
But that's like 50 minutes of
yeah, you're going to take some chews for that.
Yeah, I'll have all the nutrition for that one. 6 times a K, which sounds really easy in the scheme of what I would have done. 2 heavy sessions, and I think I said earlier, like try and do a mini goal and do my core this week too. And yeah, I've got to get back on this Lent regime. I can't.
Melt the chocolate, dip it, do whatever you're going to do with that chocolate in the privacy of your own home, and then, get back on it. We all prefer Gary, not on the sugar.
But as soon as I popped the packet of M&Ms, I just couldn't. I couldn't stop myself. And that's like...
You didn't mention the M&Ms earlier. It was a Galaxy egg. How?
And fingers crossed, Maybe not, actually. I just had a text from my mate saying that he's working over the weekend. So I had an idea that I was going to go to the lakes on Sunday, but maybe not. We'll see.
Oh.
But I'll do something local. I think we've got enough hills locally, just not massive. You know, when I was hiking up Clough Head on Saturday, it was just like, wow, because there's no path up there. It's just worn in trod over the years of basically middle-aged white men doing Bob Graham rounds have worn this path into Clough Head. And it is just like, wow, this is just really, really hard work, but it's awesome. And it's really, you know, you do that so go on this Bob Graham round territory, but maybe you've got a race like the Lakeland 100 or a Hardmoors 110, completely different altogether, different energy systems that you're using, and probably quite frustrated. I know you made a funny comment about lots of walking on one of my Instagram stories.
You didn't like that, did you? Oopsie. You were like, it's very appropriate pace for what we're doing, actually, Eddie. So no judging.
Pace. But yeah, it's so different to say a Lakeland 100 where you'd hopefully be running pretty much most of it, or at least I suppose 60% of it. Completely different on that kind of terrain. So yeah, we'll see what the weekend holds. Hopefully my nutrition improves a bit. I think if I had just 2 days smashing it on the chocolate, in the scheme of things, I can cope with that. So yeah, we'll see. Looking forward to the week.
Thanks for listening all the way to the bitter end. You rock. Thanks to our partners and patrons. Go over to Patreon and check out all our discount codes. One last favor to ask. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and follow. A big thanks to our show sponsor as well, Silver, for putting up with our twittering for the month of April.
And that's it. Another show in the bank. Stay safe on the trails. Run wise, run well, and don't overdo it. Listen to your body. Make sure you refuel with lots of tea or whatever beverage takes your fancy. We won't judge. My name is Gary Thwaites.
And I'm Eddie Sutton.
And that was episode 18 of Tea and Trails.